Well, hello. I'm going to show you how to do the Happy Ridge stitch, and this is what it looks like on the front, and this is what it looks like on the back. So it looks good either way. It can be done in the round, and it can be done in the round very easily because it's a one-row stitch, so you just keep going. The difference will be that with this braided look here, this ridge, it'll be straighter and less wavy because you're going in the round. But either side looks fine. I'll show you how to do the edge I'm doing. It's just a stitch video, but I certainly will give you the tips so you'll be able to do a project. So I'm just doing this edge, but you can do any edge you want. And I used a crochet cast on. I'll have a link to that right there in the description of both the bind on and the cast on and the bind off. So everything you need should be there. It has a similarity to the Fun Ridge stitch. The only thing, I'm using the same stitches, but I'm doing a different number. So I will probably go faster in this video because you can look at that video if you need more help. Also, you can look at my owl eye video if you need more help for owl eye. I have a video on that. The yarn that I'm using is a Mary Maxim yarn, and it is 69% acrylic, 65% acrylic, 35% wool. And it's a roving yarn, and it is a bulky, about a medium bulky, maybe to a thinner bulky, because some of it gets quite thin, even though some of it's a bit thicker. And they don't make this yarn anymore, so if you don't have this yarn in your stash, then there are other yarns that are similar, Scarfy similar. A lot of the yarns I use are similar because I quite like this kind of yarn. It shows stitches really well. So anyway, so you do the crochet chain cast on, and then you do 2 rows of owl eye stitch. I did that for my foundation row. You can use a different stitch if you want, but it just blends right in, so it doesn't even look like there's any foundation rows, so it's a nice stitch to use there. And then I went right into the stitch. So to mark your loom, I'm using 2 pegs for the end stitches. So I've got them marked. I took a blue marker. It's a medium knit marker, and I just figure eighted it over these two to hold these 2 pegs together, so I remember that these are the 2 pegs that go together, and I did that on this side. And then you're having a 3 peg pattern. Okay, so you have unmarked peg, 2 marked pegs, unmarked, 2 marked, unmarked, 2 marked, unmarked. So it's 3 pegs, so it's going to be divisible by 3 plus 1, because you're always going to be using uneven, and that's so that this peg and this peg are the same stitch, so both sides look the same. So you're uneven plus 1, and I mean groups of 3 plus 1, and it will always be uneven, and then your end pegs, however many they are. And you can make this as wide as you want. It can be a shawl, it can be narrower for a scarf. I've got a project planned for this, so there will be a project video. And let's get going and do the stitch. Okay, so here we are. And I've already done the 2 end pegs. I'll show you when we get to the other side how to do that end peg. But we have the unmarked peg, and on every unmarked peg we're going to do this purl stitch that I figured out. So you just put the top of the hook in and pull up the yarn to purl. So that's straightforward. That's how you purl. Snug it up a bit, but we're going to come back to purl again. But what we're going to do is bring the working yarn the direction we're going so that the purl goes the direction we're going, and snug it up. And you'll see a little bit of work right here at the right hand side, but that's fine. That's what we want. We don't mind that. And then we've got the 2 blue markers. So we're going to do an owl eye there. So every peg gets 2 stitches when we're doing owl eye. So we do a U-wrap over peg 1 and knit it off. Then we come from behind, we wrap peg 1 and 2. We always call the peg we start at peg 1, but out of this 3 peg grouping, it's peg 2. Knit it off, we knit off the next peg, and then we come back and wrap the last peg and knit it. And that's all we do to the 2 marked pegs. Then we come to the unmarked peg, and that's the one we do the 2 purls on. So we do the first purl, snug it up a bit, come back, do the second purl, working yarn the direction you're going, lift it off, snug it up, and now you're to the next 2 blue pegs. Go over the first one, knit it off, wrap the 2 pegs. Whoop. There we go. Got it? Knit it over, and then wrap the 1 peg again. And here we are at this peg for purling. So hook under, purl it, snug it up, come back, purl it, working yarn the direction you're going, snug it up, and then got the 2 marked pegs. You wrap over the first of the marked pegs, wrap both marked pegs in front, keeping it loose, and then wrap the second of the marked pegs and knit it off. And you're going to want to snug things up, but you're going to want to keep them really loose so they're easy to knit over and your tension's even all the way around. It'll really keep you from getting carpal tunnel syndrome, and it'll make it easier on your wrist as well. So next peg, purl, come back, purl the direction you're going, and tighten. Now when you do these 2 end pegs, it's really important to keep them loose. Even if you tightened up here and it was tight for you to knit, you still need to keep these loose, and I'm going to explain to you why. These pegs have got 2 stitches on them, right? Not 1, but 2 stitches on them. So if you were to do these really tight, then your tension is going to be tighter on the end than it is in the body of the work, and you're going to curl. You're not going to lay flat like I am here. You'll have a slight curl, and it'll be because you were really tight here and looser there. So you want to keep this loose. So I'm going to show you how to do that with my end, but if you're doing any other kind of end, keep it on the loose side. So we go over the first peg in the 2 peg pair that I have marked here in a U-wrap, keeping it loose, and then go over the 2, my owl eye edge. Okay, now after you've gone over this, to keep it loose, you can just give it a little tug. Make it loose if you can't keep it loose yourself and you have a problem with tension, you can correct. So this is loose now, and then we just knit it over and knit over the next one. Okay, and then we come back and we're ready to do a purl. So now we're purling this way, and our group of 3 pegs is now going this way, unmarked to marked. So we purl the first peg, and we keep the working yarn the way we're going when we purl the next one. So we snug it up, come back, purl it, keeping it going the direction we're going, and snug it up, and you'll see a little bit of work on this side, and that's fine. That's what we want. Come over, do a U-wrap on the first marked peg, go over both of them, keeping it loose, and then go one more time doing a U-wrap over the second one of the blue marked pair. Then we're back to an unmarked, purl it, purl it again, keeping your working yarn going that way, and snug it up. U-wrap, U-wrap over 2, that, and then U-wrap over the last one. Come over here, do the purl, do another purl, keeping the working yarn going that way, and snug it up. Knit over the next 2, knit over the second, and there you go. Now you're at this one, purl it, purl it again, working yarn going this way, give it a snug, and now we're at the 2 peg pair on the end. I'm going to show you how to do that again. I'm just going to adjust the volume here because it's making all kinds of noises, and I forgot to adjust the volume before I started this. Okay. If I can get it, because I'm getting a lot of comments here. Okay, there we go. The sound down. So that shouldn't bother us. Okay, now we're down on the last 2 pegs here. Do a U-wrap. We're doing an owl-eye edge. Then we wrap both of them. And we want to keep this loose so we can just pull it out a bit to have it loose. And then knit them, and we're on our way back. And the first one we do will be a purl over again. So let's take a look at our work here. Just stretch this out a bit. Okay, so here's how it looks. So we've got this wide ridge here. There, maybe you can see it more like that. A wide ridge pattern. And our sides look like this. Kind of a chain look there. Okay, our other side is looking like this. Got to get a good view. So it is kind of a curvy little ridge coming down here. And like I said, if you do it in the round, this is going to be less curvy, a lot straighter line here, and this will work so easy in the round because it is just a 1 row stitch, so you're not going to get any kind of a jog look in the pattern. You'll just spiral around the loom naturally. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm pretty sure I gave you enough tips to know how to do it. You can always look at my other ridge, the fun ridge stitch, if you want to see me do the ends more. I did exactly the same ends on there, and I also did the same stitches, just a different pattern, a different number. That was a 2-row pattern, or 2-peg pattern. This is a 3-peg pattern. Okay, so until I see you next time, have a good one. Bye-bye.